welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. Chip the Prophet Hayner will not be here tonight. He's stuck at a meeting, and these two gentlemen just come in right as we went live. So I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We won't go anywhere else. Rose was supposed to be right on me. I guess that's not happening. Devin's in the control room. We got Jack and we got Connor in there with them. So we got a full house there. And we usually talk sports right off the bat. As they adjust their microphones, we'll go from there. They may be with us. I'm glad we got that wide shot on all of us so you can see behind the scenes since we're live. We always talk some sports, and we start our... we're not going to do that. I got some promotions. I was at a event the other day, a couple weeks ago with Jessica Lee. If you can get a close-up on this. This is this orchestra on the hill. We'll just wait for that, I guess. Anybody there? Can I do any promos tonight? Somebody?
There we go.
There it is. Orchestra on the Hill. It's a new organization. It's a 501c3. A new friend of mine, Roy, he created it. He's actually a violinist who had many years at the Pittsburgh Symphony. Great player. Well, now he's helping underprivileged kids. They're actually playing drums and stools, and they go to school for it, and it's just helping them to get out in the world. So it's a good cause. Check that out. I'll be doing more stuff down the road with them. Then we just had Olive Oil's Pizzeria. They're our sponsor of our show tonight, so thank you. If you want to call them, call 412-831-1900. There, that's better. A lot of great pizzas, hoagies, you name it. Then my usual Pets for Vets, Bob Fergasso, who's in Bethel Park. Shout out to his wife, Janine. Again, they're doing this Pets for Vets. Check that out. Helps our veterans when they come back here. Men and women get pets, and it does help them. Then I was at the Joey Favis. One more close-up here. Got to make you work here, Rosie, one more time. Joey Favis Halloween concert. I was there Friday night. I filmed interviews. Dave Cable got the video up so fast that I just posted it before I got here. I was almost late, so we would have had nobody here. But I wanted to get that out because I interviewed everybody that was possible there. Great crowd. Stay Joey strong. A lot of people in costumes. I actually was dressed up as a ESPN analyst. I wore a suit and tie. And I was getting more compliments on that. But I'm partial to the Pittsburgh Sportsline logo polo. Rose is making me nervous there. Thank you, Rose. She's on camera. She's our new Rookie of the Year.
All right, Rose.
I want to thank her and Bob for coming out to the concert there. They were there with all the loud noise. Every time I told them, there's a lot of people here. We're going to film there. The people left. Rose is with the camera there. I said, no, over here. She was so focused on it. She took some great shots. So check that out it's already up there. You can go on my Facebook, and it's everywhere to see it. It's on YouTube. It'll be on TV. And, hey, that's my promo section. These guys should be ready for when we start with What's on Your Mind, Zach Brenner.
Well, Al Levine, the talking machine, what's on my mind? Whew, the traffic, brutal.
No, I was talking sports.
In the world of sports, I know what you meant, Al. Geez, give me a break. Hard on the kid these days.
There is no breaks for you, buddy. You don't give anybody else breaks, and we'll get into that later, but that's fine.
All right. What's really on my mind tonight, folks, is I don't really discuss a whole lot of racing, stock car racing, NASCAR, per se, because everybody makes fun of the fact that they just go around the racetrack in one direction. But this weekend, my driver had a chance to advance and compete for a championship and was denied that by a technicality that I will explain briefly real fast.
No, take your time. Chip's not coming in. You got time to talk and explain. And by the way, my brother-in-law, Gary, and my sister, Hope, over the years, they went to almost every track you could possibly go to because he worked in the automotive field. And they would tell me about the races. They would also, at their home, listen to races, and they had the hook up with that. Plus, we're watching the races. So I got the full Monty on all of that.
Well, they changed the format a couple years ago because Jimmy Johnson was dominating the sport. He won 5 consecutive titles. I don't know anybody that wins 5 consecutive titles in the modern era at anything. But they changed it to this new format called the Chase, where towards the end of the season they segment the races, and after so many races they keep eliminating people until they get down to the final race of the year, and 4 drivers compete for the championship out of the 4 drivers. So we're in the next to last segment. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has to win at Talladega to continue on to be one of the final 4. And he's in position to win the race. There's 2 laps to go. He has the fastest car, Smoking Jim. His pit stop was great. He gets out there, and the number 4 of Kevin Harvick engine was blowing. And if Kevin Harvick didn't intentionally wreck himself, he was going to finish probably dead near last. The whole field was going to blow past him. So during after the caution flag, they dropped the green, and Kevin Harvick purposely wrecks himself to guarantee himself a 15th place finish, because what they do is they only give you one chance to go around, and if you don't make it to the checkered flag before a wreck, they just freeze the field what it was with 2 laps to go. So Dale Earnhardt Jr. had no chance to pass Logano and win the race and go for a championship. He was denied this because Kevin Harvick intentionally wrecked himself. So I mean, I've been sick to my stomach. I've been trying to find ways to get it out. I had a good time last night at the park house after a long day. But I think NASCAR needs to do something about this for the sure fact that how is it fair that this guy intentionally wrecked himself because there's no rule preventing him from doing so. He knew his car was bad. He should have got out of the way. He should have actually smoked him. He should have been pulled over and parked, because at Talladega they reach speeds of 200 miles per hour. Ooh. So if you can't go 30 miles an hour, let alone 200, then you shouldn't really have been out there, So that's really what's on my mind. Dale Earnhardt Jr. got screwed on a technicality by NASCAR, and hopefully they do something about it, because last year there was a similar thing towards the end of the season to get into the chase where teammates purposely, wrecked to make sure that the other one got in, and NASCAR did something about it immediately. But I don't know if they're going to do anything this time, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. will not be able to win the championship this year, and that's what's on my mind tonight, folks.
Thanks, Zach. I just have one question to all that. What would Dale Earnhardt do in any race?
Well, the next race is Martinsville, so what Dale Earnhardt would do, if you really want to know, what Dale Earnhardt would do.
Yeah, I'm asking. Because I believe I know what he would do.
The next race at Martinsville, it's a short track. The first thing he would do is the number 4 car would be, since now they advanced to the next round, now we're gunning for him with the last 3 races. We're going to take you out. You're not going to win the championship. We're going to wreck you, and we're going to keep wrecking you, and that's just the way.
And here's my point to all that. That's what they've been doing for years. Teams have beat other guys. They run 1-2, don't let the other guy or somebody block somebody else out.
Wow.
Somebody accidentally hits somebody's back end in the middle of the race and knocks them out. These things happen.
Well,
and then when you get even with them, it's like throwing a ball at the guy who threw the ball to hit Kutch or whatever. When you hit that guy, he's a little hesitant the next time. That's why I asked what your hero would have done.
Well, that's what my hero would have done.
Doesn't that solve the problem?
No, but this is his son. This is the junior version. This isn't the senior. This is the son. And the son doesn't drive like that. The son was, I tell you what, I couldn't be more impressed with how Dale Earnhardt Jr. handled himself after the race, Smoking Jim. No, because you can hear in the in-car things, you can hear Kevin Harvick say with 2 laps to go, if there's not a wreck, I'm not gonna make the finals. This car's blown up. You could hear it clear as day on the radios. And then what happens? He purposely, wrecks. So he denies purposely wrecking, but I mean everybody believes it. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. Didn't go after him and took the high road at the press conference afterwards. And, I'll see you in Daytona in February. But I just, it just sucks to not be able to compete for the chase. Now the best he could finish this year is 5th. And, it's just upsetting. But, life goes on.
Well, thanks for explaining that. I knew they got even, though. But all right. Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, you got to see Levine in the old auction quarterback days.
What year was that?
And what's on my mind is briefly, I just wanted to give a Heisman Trophy update. My Heisman Trophy pick was Seth Russell. He was leading the nation with touchdown passes of 29, only 6 interceptions. Ran for 160 yards against West Virginia to show what kind of athlete he is.
Is that good?
He found, yeah, for a quarterback, outstanding. And to show what kind of athlete he is, he finally cracked the top 10 in the Heisman watch 2 weeks ago. And he got the Baylor, undefeated Baylor, 7-0. They're ranked by the Associated Press as the number 2 team in the country, only behind Ohio State. Well, he broke his neck this weekend and he's out for the season, so prayers go up and hopefully he can resume his career. But
not this year.
But yeah, he's done for the season.
That's terrible.
Done for the season. So he's on pace to throw over 50 touchdowns this year, and he'd have won the Heisman. But anywho, my like to give the Pittsburgh Sportsline Player of the Week this week.
Smoking, Jim. Let's move this back a little bit.
Move this back a little bit.
Right here is good. Down. You can lean. This one's a little better
Lean
balanced.
back. Lean back.
No, lean on it. No, you're good. You're
Oh,
good.
that's good.
Yeah, this is soft.
So I like to start off with the honor roll. And the honor roll, first of all, goes to West Mifflin running back Howie Reed. He ran for 152 yards. I went to college with his aunt. She's beautiful, so he makes the list this week. Phil.
Because of his aunt?
Yes.
Okay. Isn't it play on the field that's what determines it?
152 yards to get you on there usually, but
was he in the top 10 this week or not?
Close enough.
Top 20 then. Okay.
But Phil Jakovich, the quarterback, sophomore quarterback for Pine Ridge, threw for 294 yards in a losing effort against Central Catholic. Dwayne the Train Murray from Steel Valley ran for 243 yards and 6 touchdowns. Keyzon Pugh from Aliquippa ran for 301 yards, 6 touchdowns. Got a city guy, Rod Rutherford's cousin, Sean Rutherford, threw for 340 yards and 6 touchdowns for UPrep. And the player of the week goes to none other than downtown Dwayne Brown from Apollo Ridge. He ran for a WPIL record 460 yards and 8 touchdowns. And this week I decided to give a team award because we're all about team. First team award goes to KO, Keystone Oaks, won 56-26
what?
over
I got to
Stowe
interrupt
Rocks.
you. That was one of the things I was going to highlight.
Okay.
Because it's the first time in a few years, and you got to say that. Go ahead.
I won't elaborate.
No, elaborate. I'm not now. You already started it. Finish.
But the second team award.
No, finish, KO.
that was finished.
Okay.
The second team award goes to my favorite high school, Fraser High School, with a 56-0 victory over West Green. And team award, Team of the Week, Pittsburgh Sportsline Team of the Week, goes to Clareton High School, 72-0 over Menneson. And that's what's on my mind.
You know what? You're throwing so many awards out there. I don't know how we can even keep track. First it was players. Then it's like the top 10 players that you like or their mama or somebody else. Now we got teams. I'm glad you threw Keystone Oaks in. I just want to give a shout out to Jeff Sigg, one of the coaches on Keystone Oaks, and Elaine Volpe, who's the librarian in the children's library. She told me they made it, so That's all good stuff. Glad to hear that. Plus Bethel Park, right? Did you forget about Bethel? Aren't we in?
Can't name everybody.
Oh, man. Usually you're so sharp. We'll go from there. What's on my mind is I never listen to Mike Tomlin conference anymore this year, ever since we got off the Standard is the Standard. And I didn't listen to it today, but I did get secondhand information from TV and radio. And I got the best news as a Steeler fan that you could ever get. Big Ben will be back. No restrictions whatsoever. I never heard of anything like that to heal up like that. So that's great because I know Cincinnati's going to roll up on legs, and you better have that Big Al just knocking people all over down the line and on the ground because I'm worried about Big Ben. It's hard to come back when you stretch ligaments, and that's sort of what you did. And when you got a bone bruise, he's a tough guy. He can handle the pain. I'm just a little nervous on when they come in, you're allowed to come a little low on some of these plays. And if they make a mistake and get a penalty, you think they're going to worry that much about it? They're 6-0. They go 7-0. They're looking pretty strong. But you know what? I'm hopeful Big Ben is healthy like Coach Tomlin said, and we get the win. Because now I've seen second, third string quarterbacks, and the defenses played great at times, and then not so great. And the coaching, you know I'm always nervous about that coaching, especially with the clock. And then why you go for 2 points when you're only up by 2. I hope I never see that again this year. But other than that, let's go Steelers. We'll have some more Steeler talk, I'm sure. But I'm excited about the game with Cincinnati. I believe we have a fighting chance now. So we'll take that win. All right, let's start with our segments. Chip's not here. No trivia tonight. A lot of disappointment. Smoking Jim Frazier. We're gonna go with your fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Wow, this is the earliest I ever got up for this. But
yeah, you're right. It is. You got a long one instead of a 30-second one. I don't want to be long with this.
It's actually going to be a little bit short. I like to keep them.
Let's move to Zach Brenner. Let's just ignore it then.
I'll just keep it.
Why would we even want to talk to you?
I like to keep it short, but the Pittsburgh Courier years ago used to have 2 editions a week. One was local and one was national. In their national edition, they started the Black College All-American football All-American team, and then they would host the banquet in Pittsburgh. And they did that for about 30 years before the BCAA, not the NCAA, took it over and started hosting it in Atlanta. So to honor the Pittsburgh Courier in the city of Pittsburgh, in 2008, the BCAA brought the Black
Keep
College.
Emphasizing BC and looking to your left. Is there a reason?
Well,
I can't figure these secrets you got out. The sandbox moved over. I just want to tell folks that are watching, they enjoy the show and the interaction here. Well, I'm actually getting a little jumpy because the sandbox is moving so close to me. I don't know what's going to happen next.
For the BCAA actually stands
didn't look
for
at him that time.
It actually stands for the Black College All-American Awards banquet, and they moved it to Pittsburgh to honor for 1 year in 2008 to honor the Pittsburgh Courier and the city of Pittsburgh for being the founders of that particular All-American team. And I co-hosted the award.
Are you saying this is from 2008?
2008.
So you're going way back.
I'm
you
going
didn't
way
say
back
that.
to 2008.
Oh, man, I thought it was this year.
And I co-hosted the award with Doug Williams, who for many years was the only black quarterback to win the Super Bowl until Russell Wilson won it. And also with guys like Mel Blount, Larry Little, Willie Lanier, John Stallworth, and the late, great Bill Nunn, who actually has a book out about his life right now. So that's the fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. Actually, I may buy it tomorrow.
Good. Thanks, Smoking Jim. That was a little longer than I thought. But Zach Brenner, let's have some Z time.
Well, tonight on Z Time, folks, I want to remember a guy that was around for the Team Soca victories. Carl Campiti died a couple months ago in his battle with cancer, and his grandson, Cody, has taken it extremely hard. You know, I can't imagine the bonds that fathers and sons and grandfathers who are more like fathers to their grandsons. But I just look back after what Staggy was saying last night, you know, about you go from, you know, sweeping the floor to building the ring to security And then, you run into a talking machine in the crowd and Smoking Jim. And this was in the early days of Sweeties for Jimmy, when the program was just founded and starting out. Smoking Jim used to have a lady on each arm.
He had it beforehand for years. I sort of cramped his style, just so you know. Sweeties for Jimmy were 2 and 3 deep when I first had to break in. And Green Tree, I had to get past 2. And then there was a third one waiting on the side.
So then
Sorry about that.
You switch over. You switch over and you get Smoking Jim Frazier to come to a cage fight. And in the early days of the cage fights, it was a rarity. Well, this is how Batman got his great nickname. He was notorious for hitting the exit. You never knew quite when he was going to hit the exit, but you knew at some point you were going to turn around and Smoking Jim was going to be gone. Fast forward to Saturday night in Cheswick, PA, on a rainy Saturday night. Gladiators at the Cage 19. As the hours loomed on, I was sitting next to Smoking Jim, and I kind of looked at him. He was you could kind of tell he was getting a little antsy. The bat light was about to come on, and Smoking Jim was about to head out to back to God's country, Monroeville, PA. But I was very impressed with Smoking Jim. He gutted it out like a soldier. He stayed for the whole fight, including the best fight of the night, the main event. So I was happy that he got to see Mark Cherico in dramatic fashion beat a tough opponent. I tell you what, the guy looked like a white predator with his hair. He kept coming forward, and he was tenacious. It was no joke, Levine. It was
Well, I tried to watch it on their GOTC or whatever online, and it was breaking up. I couldn't see the fights.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because
I was hoping at least see Cherico's. Dan Bogan told me I might be able to see it now.
Now, yeah. There's multiple people that posted it up now. But
yeah, because I couldn't that night. Wow.
It was a tough fight, like I said, for Cherico. And, I've noticed a lot, though. You'll see, you could kind of, you could tell the favorites over who's from what gym, who's training who, because there's decisive advantages to which gyms you land and to which trainer that you get, depending, influence the effect of the fights. So, but I was impressed. Like I said, Smoking Jim, he was known for leaving, but he made it for the whole fight. And it was a great fight card. Now I'm looking forward to Pinnacle. I'm not quite sure if that's going to be at the Isoplex or if they're going to Cheswick next.
We haven't got the word yet officially, but it's Thanksgiving Eve. So that'll still be the same date no matter where it's at.
And then I wasn't 100% sure. Is that boxing the night before too with the Handsome Hitman? Is that on the eve of Thanksgiving too?
Yeah.
Shucks.
In West Virginia.
It's going to be tough to be in two places at once.
We found that out on Pittsburgh Sportsline. It's not that possible. There might be a chance.
And something else, if you guys could also allude to, since Sammy has returned back to Colorado, Rod's settled in, the Lightning Rod settled in at his gym. Things have kind of gotten a little quiet, a little stagnant for boxing here. The amateurs are dominating right now, and there's not much going on as far as the pros go.
Sure.
So I don't know. Hopefully, some of these guys step up, and Monty Eberhardt's rumored to want to fight Monty Mesa Clay. So I think
won't allow that to happen.
Well, you weren't going to allow
Rod fight.
Yeah, Little
that
Rod.
broke my heart.
Little Rod. It was like
you still haven't been the same since that day.
That broke my heart.
It was like Monty ran into a buzzsaw that particular evening. That little greased up Salka came to win, and win indeed he did. And then like I said, just seeing some of the other guys that were even affiliated with, Brutal Brendan, says hello. He has a fight coming up on November 14th, a boxing match down in Virginia. I'm going to try to get down on November 14th and be there for Brendan, since it's, a little bit closer, I hope, than Jersey.
I don't know. Virginia's a big state. You better find what city that is. Check that out. That road trip might be an extended road trip.
Nothing will beat the road trip to Atlantic City.
That's still legendary.
That'll go down in infamy. We made it just in time to see Brendan destroy.
I have a strong right arm because of that. Windshield wiper. Who knew? No, but as you're talking about the boxers, there are some guys that have turned pro. Who's that sweet child?
Conway.
Yeah, I mean, he's undefeated.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like I said...
But here's the thing. Now, maybe the competition's not like you want to see it, but think about it. For young guys that are doing this, they're winning some fights. They're pro. And eventually, you're going to face somebody that might be more of a challenge. and I heard his last fight was sort of challenging, so they are hitting some competition. Look at how many people go to Ohio and West Virginia. They're not coming to Pennsylvania.
I also heard, speaking of boxing, Tikka Hemingway won her first match of the Olympic trials. They said she had a tough draw in her first match, and she won that. So Tikka Hemingway advances.
We haven't heard much from Meatball.
Who? No, I know who he is. Hey, Rosie Maine, I think he won 2 fights in a row out there in the Olympic trials.
Really?
He's fighting, yeah.
Wow.
He won 2 fights from what I saw on a report. Yeah. So there's some fights and little spots here and there. But we hit it with 2 guys, Sammy Vasquez, 2 veterans, from the wars, good family men at the same time, fighting almost like in parallel universes, where they're out there on national TV. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. And that'll come back. I can see some fighters that they may surprise us. They're developing. Look at the gyms we have now with all the kids feeding in it. Look at the amateurs. You got many more amateurs. You got women that are fighting. We may get some champions out of that way, like you're talking about Tikka. You told me years ago, look out for Tikka.
I don't know if anybody will ever get to the level of a Paul Spatafor or Vaquan to show Kimbrough.
Hey, that's great insight, Smoking Jim Frazier. I'm glad you
How many
chime
years
in.
was that?
I'm glad you could chime in.
Did you really think about that?
But you know what, Levine, to tie into to Stagger, what Staggy was saying last night, hey, they need to take Paul and Vaquan, man, and check out their brains, because I don't think either one of them combined could put a coherent sentence together between the 2 of them, let alone a punctual
Let me
sentence.
tell you a little story. This has been going on for 100 years. I worked with guys. One guy at work, I'll never forget this guy, an older guy in great shape. We had these bells on a machine, and somebody would hit it with a hammer, and the bell would go off like a ring bell. He'd start boxing.
Really?
That's how, and he was punch drunk most of the time. Big guy. He looked, they used to call him like Little Abner, because in the comics, Little Abner was a well-built comic-like guy, and this guy, he was still knocking guys out, and he was in his 60s, and guys were in their 20s.
Well, I think...
But that's how we know the concussions are serious. When somebody says they're punch drunk, that's concussed beyond repair.
Well, I think it matters a lot, too, about the training of these referees and how thorough they are. You saw Chip Snyder on Saturday. Yeah. Chip Snyder, he's saving guys from taking unnecessary blows and extra hits.
Yeah, but he also gets, I like Chip's style because he lets him fight it out a little bit. And I've heard people go, what's he doing letting him do it? But then you see him diving in and actually protecting guys. So some of the things that people think somebody's getting hurt or could, maybe he sees something a little different angle, because he does save a lot of people. I've seen it.
That's why I could never be a referee, because if I was a referee, there'd be no fighter on the planet that would ever say, I could have continued.
These insights.
Then how can you even bring up about Paul and Vaquan?
I said nobody will ever get to that level as far as greatness. They were.
Do you hear what you're
in
saying?
Pittsburgh.
That means that somebody get knocked into a pulp so they wouldn't think that they could come back, or they should have kept fighting.
No, I'm not talking about concussion.
We're talking about fighting.
Yeah, I'm talking about the level of celebrity that they had. Out of the Pittsburgh area, they're right up there with the original Pittsburgh kid, Billy Conn, as far as notoriety.
Flag on the play. I can't put an Aliquippa guy and a McKees Rocks guy in the same category as the legendary Billy Conn. And speaking on behalf of the family, now you replay the clip, man. They say I don't say enough every time somebody tries to compare the two, because
that's your two relatives that maybe watch that once in a while. So go tell them, watch more of it, have more family watch it. You've been outspoken on this. We already know it. They may not know it. You've always been outspoken.
But yeah, Billy Conn was in a whole nother league, in a whole nother class of his own. He won. I mean, we're talking about a guy that won the light heavyweight championship, and then while being the light heavyweight championship, went after the heavyweight championship as a light heavyweight. I mean, that's just winning. And was winning, and tried to go for the win, and came up short.
And maybe fought the greatest fighter of all time, and Joe Louis, and almost beat him. So that's
Joe Louis is almost the greatest fighter of all time.
Well, I mean, I'm saying as far as historians, they still say Joe Louis. Most people
tell them what you say,
Joe
so
Louis.
We got the record clear.
The greatest, in my opinion, the greatest of all time Pound for
Sugar
pound
Ray.
is Rocky Marciano. Pound for pound, Rocky Marciano is the greatest.
And I
In my
even
book.
sent. Hold it. I think Rocky Marciano is one of the greatest heavyweights ever. Pound for pound. I sent you that Sugar Ray
Which one?
Robinson
Yeah.
Robinson videos. Now tell me the power he had left and right-handed, and he was fighting bigger guys.
But I think
Sugar Ray Robinson.
And he was moving.
Sugar Ray Robinson was the greatest.
the thing about the
But
Sugar,
pound for pound,
the argument that I
Rocky
make
Marciano
when you
was
name
the
Rocky
greatest.
Marciano or you name Sugar Ray Robinson, if I ask you to name their competition or who their greatest rivals were, neither one of you two could tell me who their biggest rivals were.
Well,
because that's why I'm going to go in a
Jake
different
LaMotta?
route. I'm going to go in a different route.
Jake LaMotta.
One.
Fritzy
Funny six
Zivic.
times. Yeah.
Fritzy Zivic. You name heavyweights, lightweights. You know they fought everybody. I'll give you a book.
Now you guys were, but you guys.
I wasn't
didn't
around
come-
that day.
I didn't come around until '84. Obviously, as we've noted many times, you guys were around a lot before me, and you guys got to watch Sugar Ray Leonard in his prime, and Hagler and Hearns, and you got to watch
Yeah.
these guys box it out.
I
To
was
me,
a
I
baby
think
then.
Sugar Ray Leonard is one of the pound for pound greatest
Yeah.
fighters ever.
Yeah.
Some of the wars that he had, and the competition and the fights, that's what does it for me. I go Muhammad Ali up there too. Look at the competition. Look at the fights.
Sugar Ray Robinson will knock Sugar Ray Leonard out. But I agree with you.
Sugar
Ray
Ray
Leonard should
Robinson
be in
in
the
his
conversation.
prime. Just watch something in his prime. When I think you heard Ernie Sharif was telling you, like his first 80 fights, he was undefeated. He was fighting every month and every 3 weeks.
And he was undefeated in his amateur, 200 amateur fights.
And this is something that in history, when you don't read history, or like Muhammad Ali was a great historian. He stole moves off of Jack Johnson, Sugar Ray Robinson, the rope-a-dope. He stole that off. I forget whoever else. There were people that tried the rope-a-dope.
Gorgeous George.
Well, yeah, of course, Smoking Jim. As soon as we get serious, it's not going to happen.
He learned the hype from Gorgeous
The hype
George.
doesn't matter. There were always, look at Jack Johnson way back then.
But something
But
that-
Sugar Ray Robinson, when I saw videos, on TV, they play replays of fights, and then now that we have the technology, you can see these fights where I've read them in books, and you'd hear old timers talk about it. Now you got Harry Windmill Greb. There's another guy fought all comers.
Yeah.
And then what's that? Charles Burley.
Yeah.
There's the guy that's probably the best ever. Because you know what? Sugar Ray Robinson avoided him. Other guys avoided him. He couldn't get a fight.
Yeah.
So think about that. Now
So-
you're talking about
saying
who
you're
you
talking
see.
about Sugar Ray Robinson avoiding somebody though. So how is that any different than
Because Sugar Ray
Floyd
Leonard would
Mayweather?
do that too, and wait till somebody was a few years older.
And Mayweather did it. Now everybody's in an upright.
But this is what happens each generation. And then it's the style that they do it and the shape they think they're in.
But something that Ernie didn't bring up that I think is noteworthy, especially to people that hadn't studied Sugar Ray Robinson or Joe Louis, fighters in that era, both of those guys in their prime lost 4 years to the war. Same way with Billy Conn. They lost 4 years because you couldn't fight during the wartime. So just think how great they are. They're all mentioned as the great. That's why it took Billy Conn so long to get a rematch with Joe Louis, is because they couldn't fight till after the war. So just think.
Sugar Ray Robinson and Joe Louis were traveling around.
Yeah, in the war.
They traveled along in the Army. They were in the Army.
They were puppets to raise those war bonds or whatever. to
Well,
keep
they
the
weren't
war
puppets
going.
because it's
Yeah.
our country. Without that money,
right.
guess who wins the war? Not us. If they don't raise the
But
millions.
but not everybody always agrees with the government or the wars or the policies, and sometimes you don't have a choice. You just got to march. Like my grandfathers, they didn't have a choice in World War II. They had to. Young men had to, strap up and go jump out of
my
planes.
dad in Korea, he didn't have a choice. Got out of high school and you're going in the Army. Then he's in the front line. So what choice? But I'm saying you took athletes out because how are you going to get people to donate that are still left, old and young?
Well, all I was saying is you said that they lost 4 years to the service. Well, I know a couple of them didn't want to go to the service, and
Most of them didn't.
a couple politicians, kids that never went to the service that should have, and these guys got stuck going and took 4 years out of their prime.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
so-
imagine if they'd been able to fight during those 4 years of their primes, how much greater their careers even
But
would have
then,
been.
like, since you were born so late in America's history before the collapse of our country, and how it's gone into the cesspool, since we're talking politics, do you know that people volunteered and didn't get drafted in a lot of wars? Athletes, boxers, etc.
Well,
And you're talking about the guys.
Well, I knew Joe Louis adamantly. Like he wanted. He was basically held captive for those 4 years. Like he was basically used as, just like I said, as an instrument to generate funds and raise money because of his celebrity and his status. And they had him. And there was nothing he could do about it.
Welcome to America. You can leave. You don't have to live here. Other people left the country.
Well, then you saw Muhammad Ali almost went to jail because he refused.
He did. Well, he was on, had to get out of it after 3 years. He wasn't mad at any Viet Cong.
I was just saying that not everybody.
Viet Cong never.
Yeah, but there's always another side to it.
You got to fight
Here, you're saying your grandfathers didn't want to be in the war. Do you know that?
Yeah.
They didn't want to be in World War II. No. Okay, so the greatest generation. That's just a big myth.
Never,
Wow.
they didn't have any choice. But they didn't have any choice. They had no choice, and they said, "I do. I don't have to go." They thought that they took care of it back then, so I don't have to go.
Wow.
Not to say that with 9/11.
Now I know why you're jaded.
A lot of guys that I grew up with, we were the first high school class to graduate after 9/11, and a lot of us, were turned on the TVs. We were in high school watching what was going on in New York, and I know a lot of guys personally that I went to school with that immediately, as soon as we graduated, they went and signed up, and that was their calling. And some of them made it back, and some of them didn't. But
look at a great football player for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah,
and
friendly fire.
Friendly fire. That's terrible
he
too.
was a great
But
player.
they don't tell you all the friendly
Great
fire.
player.
When you're in the enemy lines and there's no line and you're shooting,
Wow.
anything could happen. Imagine that. What are you going to do? Say I'm not fighting anymore?
Yeah, well, speaking of history, though, nobody ever did good in Afghanistan.
Go read about my boy Alexander, the Great. He couldn't conquer him.
Really?
Do you know that? See, a little history. Sorry, folks, this is
I
sports.
thought Smoker Jim got that in general studies.
No, you guys didn't get that. We're supposed to be talking sports. I don't know how we ended up pound for pound. We got pound for pound here.
We got Robinson. They say Robinson. I say Leonard. I mean, but that's.
Well, somebody that was a champion and fought almost everybody, because I believe you don't always fight everybody. Even guys now avoid stuff. Paul Spadafora was beating Mayweather in a fight. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to say? He would have won him if they met each other?
I think so.
See? And he avoided him the whole time. He could have fought Paul at any time. Yeah. All he had to do is say,
not any time, but most
and how we're talking about Paul Spadafora here.
49 wins.
49, but
there had to be.
That was one win a year. You had to make sure that he was dry for the.
Hey,
you had to keep him.
I don't even care. Who knows if some of these boxers they even tested for drugs or alcohol in the past? You want to bring up now and then? There's people cheating all the time. You tell me. You may be a believer in it. Even you. You guys want to cheat? As soon as somebody suspects them, then you throw them out. How do you throw them under the bus when you say you should cheat? So they all cheat. Who cares? They all didn't want to go into war, and they're being used.
I wasn't saying that the Paul Spadafora. I was saying that Paul Spadafora.
I understand
maybe,
what you're saying.
Taking substances that would prevent him from being even the caliber of fighting Floyd Mayweather. And we're talking 10 years ago.
Here's all I know is whenever he fought, he was in a match to fight, he was in it to win it, and he did.
At the heart.
That's the thing.
At the heart.
No matter what kind of shape it was, what kind of problems, whatever he was on or not on. I mean, his family history's terrible with addiction and everything. But look what he did. It's amazing. How do you even get up for a fight like that? People were dying around you. People got problems. Your mother, your father, your whole family. And yet he fought all those fights. To me, that's what's impressive.
Then they made a movie and didn't give him the rights to it.
Well, there were about 30 other fighters. Just so you know, there's like about 30 fight stories, and they're all about the same. They're all about the same.
It's getting harder and harder, man, to go on Tuesdays to go out in the parking lot and start your vehicle.
What's that?
Smoking Jim's gonna have to start starting all of our vehicles up after the Tuesday night show.
I don't know. I just say, why can't we all get along? And these are just opinions, because when the facts come out, you win 49 fights. You've had to beat somebody.
Hey, pound for pound, the best may be Apollo Creed's son. That's coming soon, bro.
Apollo Creed's son.
Is that a real guy?
It's a movie coming up, Rocky 7 or whatever.
Okay, I'm just checking it out. All right.
Another boxing movie. Paul should get more residuals for every boxing movie ever made about a guy struggling to make it. There's a Will Smith movie about a guy struggling to feed his family. Paul should get a kick of that.
Just read. You guys, here's what happens. When you don't read any books, you don't know anything in the past. So this is all like a new, fresh story.
I got a lot of books.
Yeah, but you don't read them.
I got books too.
They're keeping your tables up so they don't fall on the floor. Read a book once in a while. Any book, I don't care. Read some boxing. There's experts that have written books over the years, just so you know. They got insights that's similar to you guys, and they're proven wrong or they're proven right. You guys never get that chance. You're too slippery. But that's all right. We never let the facts get in the way of opinions on Pittsburgh Sportsline. We're going to go on location. We had one of our best shows last night with guests from all walks of life. Smoking Jim's trying to get bikini models, and he did that. I'm still thinking about the interview. Thanks for telling me it was one of the best.
That was hard to hear.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wasn't that speaker carrying?
No. Well, that was the conversation that me and Devin Shea had where you were like, the clips went by or whatever. I was telling Devin that we couldn't hear, but he said if we turned it up any louder, the feedback or whatever, the vibration would muff the sound up.
You can't blame Devin. He knows all that
He's
stuff.
an engineer.
I asked him, and when I asked when the show started if people could hear us, I guess nobody did.
No, I'm just telling you from me back, nobody could hear.
Well, sooner would have been better.
I told the sound guy, and he told me there's nothing that we could do about it, so I went and sat back down on my hands.
I got to get in charge of this. I don't know how we had, well, there is, because it went black on the screen.
Yep.
You couldn't help it. I told everybody, there were people waiting to go to the bathroom. Just so you know, if you're ever at a live show and there's a camera in the way of going to the bathroom, don't knock the camera over. Walk in front of it. And if Rosie's with us, please don't knock her over. I mean, you might not see her, but she's right there behind the camera like today. Look at that smile. She's doing an excellent job.
So pretty.
And she's so comfy here. She took her shoes off to sit a spell.
That's it. That's it. I'm about to take mine off.
Please don't. Oh, man. We don't know the last time you took a shower. You have running water at your house?
Real quick, I just wanted to touch on this real fast, too, that from the beginning, Smoking Jim mailed in his Heisman ballot before the season even started for Seth Russell. Now Seth Russell broke his neck.
He's ineligible.
He's out for the season.
He's out. Anybody that sends a ballot in, they're disqualified.
And I didn't fill out you can fill out first, second, and third. I just filled out first and sent it in.
Yeah, but that shows
I nailed it.
That's what shows the professionalism and why they have rules. Because when you want to break the rules, do something early and try to get a lot of PR like you do. You're great on the PR because I found out from working with you for 4 years. It doesn't matter how bad you talk about him, how you criticize him, right to his face. He's a happy man. I didn't realize it, but after you gave me that compliment after the one interview, I'm like, that was an interesting one. Because I learned absolutely nothing. And I want to thank you. That guest is on probation for 9 months. Just so you know. Wow. But anyhow, on location, we even had a lady that is for this magazine, which is amazing. And she actually is a fitness expert who knows a lot of the same people we do in the nutrition world and everything. Her name's Rebecca Ager. And she won in Pennsylvania, which is crazy. Now you got to win every state and then one international person. So how do you win? Then they say you win $100,000, you get the cover of the magazine. Zach, there got to be a lot of cheating on that. What do you think? To win something like that?
Definitely. What money? A lot of palms are being greased to push somebody's girlfriend or daughter in through for that.
Well,
honor.
the only thing I can say at Pittsburgh Sportsline, we're going to vote for every day starting tomorrow when it's live. I'll give you a link, Smoking Jim. Zach, you can make your own opinion on who you want to win. There's other girls out there younger and whatever, but I'm voting for the PA lady. So, and she was quite a good guest there, and I appreciate it. And we had, of course, Rick Steigerwald, the boxing commissioner, his insights on what he wants to do on concussions, like Zach was alluding to, because he just brought it right out there. He's got the Cleveland Clinic, their doctor, working with them. They'll take baselines, which means that's how you are today, Smoking Jim. We know you've been concussed, because there is nobody in the world that would be like you that has not been concussed. It can't be possible. But I want to see your baseline. Well, I know I'm right behind him, so I know I was concussed a couple times too. You can't get like this not being concussed. I used to have to huddle up in our huddle, and sometimes I missed that spot, and I was the guy you huddled up around. But that happens in sports, and it's whether you recover or not.
But like Greg, like Serb said, good luck to Staggy, because it's easier said than done. And what time will tell is how passionate and truly motivated he is, because we'll see how the progression of his cause comes about, because he's gonna have to stay on it
Well, he sounds like he is, because he's like the new kid on the block. So even though he's retired from the Steamfitters Union, he's a pretty tough dude.
Oh yeah.
So that's one thing, and he is a champion Golden Gloves guy, and was a great referee. I think he'll do it. And the nice thing, if the kids in the gyms don't want to continue, he'll keep going to somebody that will. That's what I see.
How awesome though was it that it was Staggy that got the honor, and all the people that politicked for him, and the powerful people that signed off on him, and for him to get that honor and be the one. It's like Goodfellas, like one of the guys, was the one that got the honor. Now he's the top dog for the area.
That's amazing.
And look what he said. He never thought he'd be that. Never thought he'd even have that shot. Never even thought about it. No way. So a lot of credit to him. He's just out there doing it. Then we had a couple of our furthest guests from Uniontown coming in. Bill Bosley of Uniontown Fight Club. How about his system? Did you hear how he does that? He recycles fighters in. They get 10 weeks off. They work 6 weeks with a pro, 4 weeks with that. Then they fight one time every 10 weeks. And they're in the corner, so they're learning all aspects of fighting, which to me, that education helps.
Yeah.
And then they're against better competition, because look, if you're going against some pros or training with them, that's only going to help you.
That's a good point. And
he brought his young fighter who doesn't want to box, and I thought she has some powerful punches that she does not want to, box. And she said she loves the ground game, so who knows? But at 19, your mind might change, but she's pretty tough there, Smoking Jim.
She's too pretty to be fighting.
Well, it's a changing era, my friends. You may not think women should fight or play sports, contact sports. We know that. But I'll tell you what, good luck to them. And if there's equality out there, I don't see them playing against each other. But now I'm starting to hear more girls on teams, even if they're just kicking. There's a couple more that you hear about that they're running the drills, they're doing all that, and then they're kicking.
Cooking.
Yeah. That's a Freudian slip. I'm getting hungry. What I'm looking at is I didn't have a slice of pizza because I was running late, and I know there's some left there. My boys aren't still eating. But yeah, it was a great show. We'll be back at the Park House in 2 weeks, so look for some more great guests. Come on out. Free parking on the street. We'll get that speaker system where it's a little louder in the back, but a couple weeks before it was good all throughout the bar.
You were holding 2 microphones though too, weren't you? Like you were holding, you weren't mic'd up. You had a microphone.
Yeah, I had a direct feed right to me, and it sounded good.
It was loud, but everybody could hear, like the whole place from front to back.
A couple people outside, I think, come in because.
Well, maybe if the guests would hold the mic, because some of them were.
No, but then they wouldn't hear us. Okay. Some of them were back. Even Bill, I had to move the mic up forward. Yeah. Then Devin put the hat underneath. So
yeah, that helped. Yeah,
well, those technical difficulties, we'll work on that stuff. But we'll be back there in a couple weeks. Hopefully, get that straightened out. So, all right, we got 9 minutes left. What do you guys want to talk about? Since we covered everything, including politics, World War II.
I think we should dive into the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Let's do it.
I think. Smoking Jim Frazier has been spot on a couple things. I'm not going to give him credit for a lot of things, but what I will give him credit for is number 95. I'll give him credit for the Jarvis Jones. I'll also give him credit for the now injured Stephon Tuitt, who now has an knee injury. Smoking Jim Frazier, when he wants to give out some nuggets, he does come with some gold every once in a while, where he tells us some stuff that we could actually use in our, the knowledge in the process, Al Levine, where he told us about Tuitt
he did.
He must have looked at his charts and his medical charts, and he looked at the bone on
you
bone.
know what happened?
I looked at the baseline.
Nah, he doesn't even know. Between both of you, if I make a comment or bring up something that's a fact, you make it your own in your own way. And the baseline that you have is below sea level. So that means you're drowning. Exactly. Zach got it. He's a plumber. He got it. Just like with the Steelers. Now, I predicted a win last week, and I was a little nervous about it because my thought was like Smoking Jim alluded to it, but he didn't go the other way. Then I watched Championship Chase. He went right with everybody else and said the Steelers will win.
Yeah, he sounded like he sounded like a young Michael Jackson, like, yeah, I'm going with the Steelers, yeah. And I'm like, what? I want to call it in.
Hey, Zach, I wasted a half hour of my life hearing him talk about Johnny Wino.
Liz Costa was a highlight of the couple minutes, and then seeing Ross Van Schoen in the commercials, that was great for the animals.
If you watch all of them, the first time I saw him speaking, I'm like, what's Ross doing there? He said, get your flu shot. I'm like, no, I'm not getting that flu shot. And now he's saying it every week. And then how about when you say progress? It sounds like progress. But Liz is like super on this stuff.
She's great.
You know that.
She's very talented.
And then
she's hitting it out of the park.
The woman that goes up against Plungent,
Ida.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Ida's. She knows a lot about
I'm
stuff.
a bigger fan of Tom Plungent.
Well, you and I went at it pretty good, too, on the show. That was great.
Oh, yeah, I was taking no prisoners against him, but I like his style. He can come back anytime. Yeah. No, I like it because he believes what he's saying.
Yeah, he does.
And he follows through on all of that. Mm-hmm. He doesn't change his mind.
That's true.
At all. Even if you convince him, which it's hard to do.
Yeah.
So we got, Smoking Jim was hit on Tuitt and hit on 95. But I think the problem that you're not hitting on is that right now we have a third string left tackle, and that's the blind side for Ben Roethlisberger. And that's the big guy who was a wide receiver in college as tight end. What I saw against, on Sunday, it wasn't a bad game, but it wasn't a great game. And there's room for concern, especially going into Cincinnati, because that, like I said, that's Ben's blind side. And we need a healthy Ben, obviously, to even be,
Well, here's what I saw. He's learning the position, and that's what it is. That's why it looks – because Big Al's a tough guy, but he's learning that tackle position. Can we afford him to learn it against Cincinnati?
Well, I'll say it again. After watching him 5 plays in the preseason, I said he's the best left tackle I've seen since Anthony Munoz, the greatest left tackle of all time. But with a lot of times you can't see on TV, the second loudest stadium in the history of the National Football League is Arrowhead Stadium, second only to Seattle. And the one time the African named defensive end,
Holly.
Yeah, he was able to get a jump. He was able to get a jump because I know that AJ couldn't hear the snap count as loud as it was, or Villanueva.
But you don't dispute that. You don't dispute though that the man is a war hero. He was great at war. He might not be that great at left tackle. There's still room for improvement. There's no pedigree though. There's no pedigree. This man was a wide receiver and a tight end in college.
Yeah.
He put on, and a lot of people are arguing that he put on those pounds the natural way.
100 pounds.
The natural way. We're not so sure that he took it the natural way. But
Hold it, Zach. I want to go back to the Police Pals basketball game. He looked a little thin when we saw him during the basketball game.
Was he there?
Yeah, I interviewed him.
Wow. Wow.
Nice
I
guy.
didn't know that. I gotta-
See, that's why you don't pay attention. We're doing stuff out there. You are the busiest man in the Pittsburgh media, I know, but there's a couple other guys that rock the media all over the place.
In recent weeks and months, Al Levine's going for gold, especially in BPTV land. He wants a better award.
It's out there. They're going to make a new one.
But for Lil Z, the only thing that I can compare to, like I said, for the eye test, he's the best I've ever seen since Anthony Munoz. But the only thing I can
on the
compare,
footwork, did you watch the feet?
But the
the
only
shuffle?
the only thing I can compare to is there was a kid that never played football in his life and was a Pro Bowler, Hasselreg.
And that's the exception to
One in a
over
million.
1,600 players every year.
But I think
how many years?
Well, this kid could be the next exception. And I've said this in Trent. The first time I said, L, this is the best I've seen left tackle since Anthony Munoz. This is this summer.
And we didn't want to interrupt you. I like the guy because he gave a nice interview.
What about and how unfortunate is it for Calvin Beachum that he turned down a contract in training camp and now he might not even get he's going to get a way less amount of money to stick
he won't
around.
be here.
He's not going to be ready, and he won't be here. So.
Yeah, he won't be here. Although I wish he was here instead of Gilbert. I like him better than Gilbert, but Gilbert's going to take whatever they offer.
Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? Whatever happened to your boy Adams there? Your marshmallow.
I don't know. He's still on the team, 76. Stealing money.
Stealing money. Right, he's right. He's stealing money, that's for sure. You know what?
That's what we picked. I mean, I thought I was going to get fired when I put right by his name, Soft, before the Steelers drafted him. They had a first-round grade on him. Text Al Levine
you got the steak, so you're good.
Yeah, but the one thing you can say about Coach Tomlin, and I'll be real quick, is when he likes a guy, it's stubborn. He liked Michael Adams. Guy should be gone. He likes Shamarko Thomas. He's not even third string. He's barely dressing for games. And he liked Cortez Allen, gave him $5 million a year. The guy can't see the field. Those three shouldn't even be on the team. They're not.
Well, look at Will Allen's on the IR, and he actually wasn't doing too bad. Yeah, he's on the IR now. That's how bad it is. Yep. So he won't be.
Now I think we're cutting up.
Should have kept
We
Troy.
wasted a draft pick on Boykins.
Yeah.
Now finally he's going to get pushed in the service, not because he should have been playing all along, but because out of desperation, because we don't have anybody else.
Yeah. That's a
So we're going to
fourth-round
see.
pick waste.
We're going to see this team on Sunday against a charged up, probably the best Cincinnati Bengals team that's coming to Pittsburgh in a long time.
The Red Rifle, baby.
Real quick, Cincinnati has the potential to wrap up the division and a lot of things on Sunday.
We'll be playing
That's why I said it's so critical that they got to protect Ben like it's the Alamo and it's the last couple shots.
Well, Ben don't have to worry about the left side.
And also, real fast,
Yes,
the Penguins have rebounded
Yes,
from
they
a
have.
terrible start. They're 4-4. They're getting it going a little bit. There was calls for the coach to be fired, but he's hanging in there right now. We're not sure if it's the players or if it's the system or both.
I'm betting on a combination. If they're not happy about playing a system, it doesn't matter what system you have in there.
Well, you know better than anybody that is a team that will lay down and get their coach booted out.
They've done it.
Disco Dan found out.
That's how Dan got in. So how do you think it's not going to happen to you? The same thing happened to him. The only strange thing is he lasted over 5 years.
And he won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And still got the boot.
Well, the Penguins may get the Miami Hurricanes coach. He's available.
Smoking Jim is now an expert on hockey. What's
College
that black
football
thing called that they shoot at with it?
Vulcanized rubber.
Yeah, what is that? Do you know what that is? Folks, we got to end the show. Thanks for watching this show. If you were a little lost, believe me, so was I. I got concussed earlier here. I got hit with a pizza box. So I apologize to my co-host. Thanks. He can't read. We're going to go, and Smoking Jim, we're going to get the puck, P-U-C-K, out of here. Thanks for watching our show. Stay Joey strong.